Yeah, it's 72 days. 72 days until we watch a good New York sports team. I'm not a big Giants fan, but I'm a Knicks fan. So 72 days until the Knicks come and save me. Yeah. I think I'm going to start becoming a Braves fan. I don't know. I've got family down there. They like the Braves down there. So I was watching Sunday Night Baseball. Might become a Braves fan. Episode 548 of the podcast. The Yanks lose 2 more in Miami, but who really cares? Because it's over. Let's go. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya! Anthony for 3, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied! Time! Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand. Yankees win!
All right, let's talk New York Yankees. I don't want to. But no, I might become a Braves fan. Like, I might start watching the Braves more. Maybe I'll buy the MLB package, and I'll buy the Braves, because the Braves package, I don't know what it's called. Because I don't know. Because I like watching them. They're a real damn good team. They're probably going to win the National League. Maybe the World Series. It's a great game. Sunday Night Baseball. The Mets were down 3-1 very early in the game. They come back with that big inning. And they end up winning. Matt Olson, though, hit an absolute bomb. And that swing, again, man, it hurts watching guys like Cody Bellinger crush it in Chicago. Matt Olson crush it in Atlanta. It hurts. That lefty swing would have been perfect for the short porch. Matt Olson, I believe, after that, 42 home runs now. He's back on pace for 60, which I started to think, like, I think pretty soon the league norm for 60, the league norm for, like, a home run leader is going to become that. I think 60 is going to become the new 50. Like, you're going to see 60 a lot more. I think Judge opened up a can of worms, but like with Ohtani being on pace for close to that, with Olsen on pace, like I think you're going to start seeing a lot more guys. I don't know if they juice the balls some games, and some games they don't. I think 60 is going to become more of a norm. And I was watching the Braves Mets on the K-Rod Sunday Night Baseball telecast. That's my guilty pleasure, because I know a lot of people don't like that. I don't know what their ratings are, but A-Rod I've always liked. I've always been a big fan. I think he's a great baseball mind. Knows his shit. Love his take on modern day baseball. They showed the Ted Williams clip on hitting in the K-Rod telecast tonight, and it's perfect. It's like it embraces launch angle. Right, that's kind of where it started, but it's not like over the top. It's like if you watch the clip, he's basically talking about how you just need the slight uppercut. Go down with your motion, but that's how you get the natural launch angle, the slight uppercut on your swing. And Ted Williams perfectly explains it that way. Bobby Valentine was on as guest. I don't know if he was drunk or if he sounded drunk because it was lagging. There was a major delay too. But yeah, it was fun. All right. Nestor Cortez, before this series, we got news that he's back on the IL. He's going to be done for the season. Most likely. He's out for the rest of the year. So, there's that. Thanks for coming. Carlos Rodon, I would say he's probably done for the year. They might try to bring him back. At that point, they might be out of it, so who knows. The Marlins have a nice ballpark. They have beautiful uniforms. Those throwbacks that they made, like one of their regulars, so nice. The white with the teal, and you got the pinstripes. Those are such nice uniforms. Great ballpark. Good young team. Hungry team. Can't say the same about the Yankees. Let's talk about them. Let's get to our first break. We'll talk Yankees as soon as we get back from our first break. Stay with us. Be right back here. Episode 548 of BD4. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Be right back.
We appreciate you sticking around and listening so far. When you have a chance, be sure to open YouTube to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're already watching on YouTube, be sure to head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We appreciate your feedback and are always looking to improve. Now, with that all said, let's get you back to the show.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ. So we're not... Let me do just a little disclaimer, I guess. We're going to be spending very little time talking about this series and really about like the day-to-day wins and losses crap, because I checked out. I checked out after the White Sox series, last series. I'm over it. Like anything that happens, I just take. So that's why I'm not really frustrated. I'm just like, I'm over. The season has been a wash for me. The White Sox series did me in. That was it. So we're going to really briefly recap these 3 games. And then we're going to talk about some more important things like prospects and the future of this team, what they can do in the offseason, and things that actually matter. And we're going to try to make that a talking point, not just of this episode, but going forward for the rest of the season. And if it becomes too repetitive, sure, we'll talk about some day-to-day stuff, but that's just a little disclaimer for what's going to be ahead on the pod here for the rest of the season, as we slowly transition to doing more Knicks stuff soon, because they'll be coming up, and it's going to be I'm going to be shifting my focus towards them eventually, once the summer concludes. But we're still going to be doing Yankees every series. There might be shorter episodes, and there might be some more talk about long-term things and stuff. So that's what we're going to start doing this episode. But on Friday, the Yankees played the Marlins, the first game against the Marlins in Miami, and they lost. No, this was the game they won. They won 9-4. You had early home runs by Volpe and Judge to put them up 4-2. Top of the fourth, 3 singles, scored 3 more runs to make it 7-2 Yankees, and they eventually win 9-2. The Bats, 9 runs on 14 hits. Nice to see them go 7 of 13 with runners in scoring position. 1 second. Three hits for Higashioka with 2 RBIs. He was on base 4 times. 3 RBIs for Volpe. He was on base 3 times. Home runs from Volpe and Judge, who was also on base 3 times. Hamilton opened in this game. He allowed 2 runs in 2 innings. Vasquez was the bulk guy, 3 2/3, 2 runs. And then Loaizaga, Canely, and Holmes were perfect, combining for the final 3 1/3 innings. Fundamentally, you get at least 1 or 2 blunders a night. This time, Glaber was caught on the bases. And so the Yankees win 9-4. Saturday, the Yankees go on to lose 3-1. The good thing was they never put up a fight in this game, so unlike Sunday, they didn't get fake hope. But again, I don't have any more hope, so there is no such thing as false hope when you don't have hope. But maybe at home watching, you had hope today. But Saturday, they lost 3-1 straight up. Sandy Alcantara, just shut the Yankees down. I don't know how that guy went from Cy Young to inconsistent, but he's filthy. He went up against Michael King as the opener, who the Yankees might try to stretch out as a starting pitcher. A little more on that later. King put the Yankees in a 2-0 hole early with a bad first inning. Hard base hit. There was the Luis Arias home run. A couple of singles in the inning. King went 2 innings, and then Brito went 5, allowed 1, and then Middleton pitched an inning after that. The Yanks get a fake run off of Sandy Alcantara with the IKF base hit in the 7th. That made it 3-1, but that was all. Alcantara, filthy. 9 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, couple walks, 10 strikeouts, no home runs, 116 pitches, and the win. Yeah, it's crazy how he went from Cy Young to 4-something ERA. He's electric. He's got some really unreal stuff. But I guess regardless, it's the Yankees, and they do not hit baseballs, so they make anybody look good. The Yankees put only 2 guys into scoring position in this game. The entire game, you just had quick counts. There was no approach. Kay read some stat in the middle of the game. At some point, every at-bat was 5 pitches or less, I think it was. But the game was over in 2 hours and 2 minutes because of how feeble and checked out the Yankees were. And yes, I do think they checked out in this game. They did not look interested. Stanton's 9th inning at-bat was something that belongs in whatever the opposite of a museum is. I mean, that strikeout was... And he had a very similar strikeout in today's game, too. Which, speaking of, we'll talk about that now. Sunday, today, the Yankees lose 8-7 after thinking they were going to win. That's right, folks. They lost. If you went outside when it was 7-1 in the 8th inning and you thought, okay, I can go water my garden now, or I can go walk the dog now. Or if you were like me and in like the 6th inning, you had the big lead and you said, all right, let me check out Team USA in this showcase game, right? I was watching Jalen Brunson make every shot he took. And you thought you were going to be safe. Well, you were wrong, because that was one hell of a blast. It completely wasted Gerrit Cole's start once again. That whole, play 700 on Gerrit Cole days thing, that's over, been over. So top of the 2nd, you get the base hit by IKF, 1-0. 3rd inning, Judge walks, Stanton runs into a double, it's 2-1. Volpe goes deep in the 4th, it's 4-1. Bader singles, McKinney gets one in, 6-1 after 6 or after 5. Rortvedt picks up what felt like his first hit since he got the recall, with the home run to right field in the 6th. And at that point, it's 7-1 Yankees. Cole goes 6 innings, 2 runs. Peralta goes the 7th and some of the 8th, allows a run. Middleton was good in the 8th. And then Holmes and Canely do the thing in the 9th. It's 7-3 Yankees, and Clay Holmes comes in for the 9th inning to finish the game off. It's a big enough lead to where it's not considered a save situation. But he surrenders the leadoff double to Gurriel. Then he has this dominant 3-pitch strikeout to that pinch hitter in the 8th hole. Then the ground ball base hit to Volpe that he couldn't handle. The walk to Jazz Chisholm. You get the mound visit, and then you get that comebacker that Clay Holmes, who's usually a pretty good fielding pitcher, bobbles it around, picks it up, and then he makes the overthrow to first. That scored 2 runs. It's 7-5. At this point, I get the notification on my phone, and I turn the game on. I'm like, all right, let's see what's up here. And I still didn't think it was going to happen. But then he leaves a 2-seamer kind of low and into Luis Arias, and he bangs I think it was a game-tying triple down the right field line that Aaron Judge couldn't get to in time. Bad toe. That tied the game 7-7. And that's when the game was over. You knew when they tied it that they won it. I mean, you knew it was over there. That's when Loser comes out to finally pull Clay Holmes, and in comes Tommy Canely with the Yankees' fate already sealed, just making it official. Walks the batter and then allows the single to Jake Burker off of Canely's hanging changeup. So the Yankees lose. The Marlins walk it off 8-7 final. And this team sucks. And, I can sit here and I can bitch and I can moan and complain about Aaron Boone's decision making in this ninth inning, and maybe some people are, I don't know, and I can complain about the lack of fundamentals. Like in this game it wasn't base running, it was 3, maybe 4 different plays they could have turned for double plays that they didn't. I could talk about all that, but again, I just don't really care about that anymore. Like, the Yankees could have won today, and it means nothing to me. These games are borderline exhibition games at this point. I don't care. I'm checked out. I actually, stupidly enough, I had the title across the bottom ticker for this series, if you're watching the YouTube edit. I had the title all set up twice, and I had to change it. Before the series, I had Yanks sweep Marlins, and I don't care, because I thought they'd sweep them for some reason. And then they took the loss in Game 2, so I changed it to Yanks take 2 from Miami, and I don't care. That was the new title, because I thought they'd at least take 2, and they did not. So now we've got this one. Yanks, what was it? Yanks drop 2 in Miami or some shit? Here it is on the screen. Yanks lose 2 more in Miami, and I don't care. That's the title of this episode. So I simply, I sweep, get swept, lose 2 out of 3, win 2 out of 3. I simply don't care about wins and losses, and I just want one thing for the remainder of the season. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the episode. So I want to start by expressing, for the first time ever on this show, my dislike for Aaron Boone. There are so many things about this guy that bother me. Forget the bullpen management. Forget the lineup shuffle where he just picks names out of a hat. You lead off today. You bat fourth today. The guy's persona, his character, very much annoys me. Like, the fake arrogance annoys me about him. And this is with all the Yankee upper-ups. Like, they asked Aaron today about not walking Jake Berger, who hit the walk-off. And he would be the Yankees' best hitter, by the way. His answer was the usual, we're never wrong, why are you asking something so ridiculous type answer. On one of the most reasonable questions you can ask. It's insane, dude. It's fake pride, fake confidence, delusion. They're pompous assholes who are too stubborn and afraid to admit that they can make mistakes too. But you're never going to hear them say, whoops, that was our bad. Yeah, maybe I should have done this. They sound crazy. And we all know at the end of the year, they're just going to blame injuries again. That's their built-in excuse because they keep building their roster full of brittle old men. You can ask them about Donaldson, and they'll mention his 2015 MVP. Stanton, too. This is a 6-time All-Star here. Oh, this is an MVP we're talking about. This is a guy who we know, blah, blah, blah. It's just the worst irrelevant cop-out bullshit that you can find. You got to do better, honestly. I get secondhand embarrassment for how bad these cop-outs are. But yeah, this is part of the reason why I very badly want the Yankees to get buried and eliminated very soon. I'm begging for them to be mathematically eliminated as soon as possible. Because I want them, still in the midst of their season, to be eliminated with plenty of baseball left and have to talk to the media about it right then. Smack in the middle of the fire, uncomfortable and embarrassed and all, and having to answer questions about it during the season. I want that to happen. I want to get the satisfaction of watching them feel like garbage inside. I want that so bad right now. And I'm in a very toxic place right now, and I totally get that. But sometimes you need a little flavor to make the drink taste good. That was my own little metaphor that I just added in. Didn't sound as good out loud. And I understand that, if Aaron Boone gets canned, and I'm starting to believe he actually might after the season, that not much is going to change. I get that. the head of the snake is Cashman, in my opinion. But I don't like Boone. I don't like him. Not as a manager. I don't like him. I don't think he deserves to be the guy to hoist up the 28th World Series trophy for this franchise whenever it does happen, if it ever does with him. God forbid. I don't think he has the balls to do it. His post-game pressers tell you so much. And the 1% will, of course, go, what else do you want him to say? That's all they say, by the way. The entirety of the 1% all use that same exact line because they're not creative enough to have their own opinion, so they go find a phrase they saw on Twitter. But it's like you can't use your brain for 2 seconds to find something else to say other than, outside the 18 strikeouts, I thought we looked good. Or you know, oh, the shadows were the reason we couldn't hit. Or the roof was the reason we didn't. Or tell everybody that you like the intent in the process. You're telling me that's the only possible answer that a 50-year-old manager of a baseball team 20, 30 years younger than him can say? Be a man for a second and sound strong. Sound like a leader. How about using some adjectives to shake up the room and catch some attention? Show people you actually do have some urgency. The table slam last year, 2 years ago, whatever that was, I loved that. But there's a reason it's called the table slam. And it's not so much the words itself that matter to me, but it's the words he says indicate how he is in the clubhouse. It's probably no different. Like, that's literally his personality. How about we played like garbage? We're in deep trouble if we don't get our heads out of our asses. This is an unacceptable product that we're throwing out there, and these losses are getting very pathetic. How about calling it a disgrace to be in last place and instead not bringing it up as you're. He was asked about being in last place the other day, and he mentions context. Last place is last place. The record means nothing. It's about where you are in the standings. In games where the Yankees, like Saturday, go up there with zero approach, have these 4-pitch at-bats, and go down 1-2-3, how about you discuss how terrible an approach we had instead of praising the 2 decent at-bats that were the exceptions of the 30-something at-bats you had? Because obviously, if this message isn't working, the positive message isn't working, and it's not, and the players aren't responding to it, and they're not, then obviously there's something wrong with leadership. And guess who that is? That's the manager. He's supposed to be the leader. But Boone isn't a leader. See, that's the problem. He's a weak, feeble-minded, pathetic individual who acts as the team mom. I've made this reference before. While his players are his children. He coddles them. And guess what? Just like a parent's not supposed to be their kid's best friend, a manager isn't supposed to be his players either. But that's why he was hired. They wanted the player-friendly communicator because Girardi was too harsh and disconnected. So that communicator comes in, and what happens? Everything softens up. The team hasn't been the same since 2017, which was Girardi's last year here. They've regressed since. And we've had plenty of prospects and players on the roster regress from great to squat, right underneath Boone. We've seen terrible defense, all-time bad base running blunders, low IQ mistakes, piss-poor fundamentals. And that, once again, falls on the manager. So, not a fan of Boone. And, well, he may not change much if he gets fired. Well, that might not change much. It's something that still needs to happen because it does change something. It does change a little bit. When we return from break, it's time to rip on Cashman. Stay with us. Be right back.
You can also find us on social media. If you'd like, you can follow BD4 on Facebook, and we're at BD4Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you helping us grow more and more every day. Let's get back to it.
All right. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You're listening to episode 548 of the podcast. I read the most weak-minded social media post the other day, which reminded me why I don't like going on Twitter. I'm not going to read the guy's handle. I don't want to be negative to him, and I'm not trying to hate on the dude. Not that anybody is listening to this podcast anyway. I average probably one listener, but there's a kid on Twitter. It's got a check mark. He probably bought it because he wants the attention. It's the most... By the way, I didn't know you could post this many characters in one tweet now. Or I guess it's called X. It's the most, like... I'll read it. So he starts off by listing a bunch of players and why they've been bad and stuff, and then he just has this whole soliloquy at the end. He goes, Sevy hurt or bad all year. Rodon hurt or bad all year. DJ bad all year. Stanton hurt or bad most of the year. Judge hurt most of the year. Loaizaga hurt most of the year. Herman bad, gone after July. Cabrera, nothing offensively. Volpe, almost nothing offensively. Catchers, all terrible. Mike King, briefly unusable. Odd. Rizzo, historically bad. Hurt. Bader, hurt or bad all year. Nestor, hurt, then bad, then hurt, then good. One start, then hurt. And then he goes on to say, I understand people had criticisms of this roster coming into the season, but to act like this is anything but the first percentile outcome for this team is heinous. Heinous? Look at everything that had to go wrong, and they're technically still not dead. That's absurd. If you're saying you saw this coming, you either underestimated what would have had to go wrong for the team to be this bad, because nobody would have predicted all of this, and therefore you're wrong in my estimation, or you're lying. So, I want to first respond to the part where he goes, first percentile outcome, because I agree to an extent there. This wasn't the sole outcome that everybody was expecting heading into 23. I get that. But the way he words this entire soliloquy is a bit desperate sounding. It sounds very, oh, poor Daddy Cash to me. Like pro Brian Cashman. Like the Yankees, with the roster they have, consisting of older players, players with countless deep injury history, and inexperienced rookies like Cabrera, Volpe, Peraza, had to know this was very possible heading into the season. And that, here's where I disagree, it's not all that crazy to see it all go down this way. I mean, those who listen to this show, I've been saying from the beginning of the season up to now still, the whole floor and ceiling analogy, right? Like that's been my whole thing all year. I said the Yankees, if all goes right, 95 to 100 wins and a division title. And I've also been saying Yankees, if all goes wrong, 80-something wins and maybe just sneak into the playoffs, which is exactly where we are right now. So, I mean, yeah, nobody should be totally shocked at this. Look at what Cashman did this past offseason after the way the playoffs ended. The Yankees get swept by Houston. They strike out 1,000,000 times. Their offense disappears. And what does he do? He responds by doubling down on a rookie shortstop and passing up on a star-studded shortstop market for a second consecutive winter. Not the smartest thing to do for a team that's trying to win now. He watched Minnesota hand over Luis Arias to the Twins for a middle-of-the-rotation pitcher. And by the way, Arias is about to win a second straight batting title, one in each league. He sat there and he let the Boston Red Sox, of all teams, jump all over Japan's hot ticket in Masataka Yoshida. Who is that, you ask? He's a left fielder. We needed that. He's a 300 hitter. Certainly need that. And here's one. He's a left-handed on bat on pace for 20 homers. Probably could have been 25 plus if he played inside Yankee Stadium. The only things the Yankees did in the winter was add Carlos Rodon to a rotation that was fine in the postseason, and then do the obvious by retaining Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo. And by the way, Judge and Rodon, those two guys have barely been here this season. So don't sit there and pretend that it's shocking that injury-prone guys are injured again, that old guys are playing like old guys, and that rookies are playing like rookies. No, that's not shocking. Because if we go through that little list of yours, I'll play and I'll go through it. Judge, he's often hurt. Freak accident or not, it always happens and you should prep for it. He was out for 2 months from a bad toe. Why? Because he's 6'8", 300 fucking pounds. Stanton, he's often hurt. He's old. He can't run, can't move. He batted .210 last year. Stop acting shocked that he's not doing well this year. Loizaga, often hurt. Herman, he's always been a loose cannon. Always something going on. Injuries, suspension. Never that good. Stop acting shocked. Peraza and Volpe, inexperienced rookie infielders. Playing like inexperienced rookie infielders. The catchers we've had, guess what? Each of them have been egregious hitters their entire careers. Not just this year. So do something in the winter to address that. Rizzo, concussion thing, that all makes sense, sure. But he's old, and he also batted .220 last year. Let's not pretend to be shocked there. Bader, the guy spent more time of his major league career off the field than on the field. And that's a goddamn fact. Let's stop acting like we're shocked there. Donaldson. I mean, really? Do I have to explain the Donaldson one? Like, again, you signed an often injured Rodon, who's been in the league since 2015 with just 2 great seasons. So while I like the move, and we all did, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be stunned that he's been both hurt and not great. Why? Because that's happened with him before plenty of times. Folks, we got to stop with the excuses. I'm a little tired of the excuses that come in for this clown. And again, this is ridiculous to even give attention to because I'm responding to the 1% here. Like, there's not many people who believe this, but it honestly should be 0.00% at this point. Like, there should be 0 human beings left on the planet that have any sympathy for this once proud, now infamously horrendous GM. And Cashman's going to be a Hall of Famer. He is. But sometimes even Hall of Famers overstay their welcome. And that's exactly what's happened, unfortunately, the past several seasons with Brian Cashman and the New York Yankees. So, sorry. Had a rant on Boone and Cashman there. Got to get that in there. We'll get to the more fun stuff. Let's do that. Head to break first. Be back and we'll talk about some things that might be more interesting. Stay with us here on BD4. I'm your host, RJ. Episode 548. Be right back.
If you have time in the day or maybe just prefer old-fashioned reading over listening, then you can always follow along and subscribe to BD4 Blog by going to BD4blog.com. We're not on there as often, but when we do post, it's just as entertaining, opinionated, and passionate as we are on this podcast. Thank you so much. And let's keep on with the show.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Episode 548 of the podcast. So all that said, it brings me to my goal. What I think the Yankees' goal should be for the remainder of 2023. This is what I would do, right? But I think you got to get some of these kids up here. And that's what we're going to be discussing here for a few minutes. And plenty again going forward. I think you got to get some of these kids up here ASAP. Pereira, Peraza, Chaparro, Wells, Beater, Warren, Thorpe. Like, experiment and toy around with some of these guys. Vasquez and Brito should be making starts regularly. Michael King. Get him some starts. Like, I know he struggled on Saturday, I think it was. But who cares? I like that. I loved seeing that. Like, let him get more time. We got to get over the Jabba shit, by the way. That was 15 years ago. I know there's concern with the elbow, the way King throws, the sliders. But look at Clark Schmidt. He found a nice home in the rotation. I would toy with it a little bit. You never know. King has the arm angle. He's got 3+ pitches. And that's all you need to start. He's got his fastball. That he sometimes tails it, sometimes throws as a four-seamer. He's got his breaking ball, slider, whatever you want to call that pitch he throws. And he'll throw the changeup as his tertiary pitch. And that's actually been a very underrated pitch for him, as little as he throws it. I think Michael King, I would like to see him pitch 5 innings in a start. Just see what you could do. But yeah, I mean, you have to do it at some point. Call some of these kids up. Everson Pereira, starting to learn more about him. International prospect. Number 3 prospect in the Yankees system. He's also on MLB Pipeline's top 100. I think he's 80th. He's 22 years old. He's a right-handed bat, center fielder who can play some corner outfield. I just got a really crazy headline. Some shit about Wander Franco's going down. I'm sorry. It's just like it's crazy bad news. I don't know what I just saw. Breaking news: Wander Franco is a whack job if true. I'm sure you know by the time you're listening. Where am I? 22-year-old right-handed bat. He's a center fielder who can play some corner outfield. He was promoted in the middle of the season this year from AA to AAA. And with Scranton Wilkes-Barre so far this season across 29 games, he's batting .325, .938 OPS, 6 home runs, 31 RBIs, 8 walks, 34 strikeouts. He's gained a lot of muscle over the last year or so. That has slowed him down a little bit, but it's helped him add power. Excuse me. He's got a quick right-handed swing. He hits the ball very hard. It's led to some strikeouts, some timing issues, but also an increase in the extra base hits. And he's got good instincts in the outfield. Less range than he used to with the muscle he gained, but still a little bit of speed. And he's got good arm strength to become a solid corner outfielder. And everything on the 2080 scale is ranked from average to above average. So 50 to 55. I say get him up here. He has to be a must after the August 19th service time deadline. Should have been a while ago, but at this point, 6 days. Why not wait for that extra year of control? It's just amazing how the Yankees said they didn't do anything at the trade deadline because they see Everson Pereira as the guy. Then where has he been all year? You clearly value team control over winning. He should be playing left field for the Yankees yesterday. We don't need to see Billy McKinney. We don't need to see Kiner Falefa out there. We don't need to see Jake Bauers out there. Hell, to be blunt, it's kind of useless at this point to be giving Bader at-bats because he's not going to be around next year most likely either. Bring up a kid who will actually be a part of this team going forward. This way, you can get him some reps. And in 2024, he won't be struggling up here and having to go up and down between AAA and the majors like Oswald Peraza has this year. I swear they've got to be the worst organization in baseball when it comes to player development because they care about nothing but everything else besides development. I was texting one of my buddies who's a Braves fan. He made a solid point. He said the Braves let all their kids come up and thrive early on. And they gave them their contracts early and they got it out the way. Like they were long deals, pricey deals anyway, but still less than what the market would get you in your prime. Because as a young kid, you see the big numbers there and you jump for it. They got a bargain on Acuna. Or else they'd be paying Acuna Judge money. So he brought up that point. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's true. Oswald Peraza. We know about Oswald, right? He will probably be top 3 in the Yankees system and in the Pipeline 100 if he was still considered a prospect. But since he's made his debut and all that, he's now a major league player. 23 years old, a right-handed bat, plays shortstop, third base, second base. They're trying to get him to play some third base down there. We know about him. I like him. He's a defensive whiz, cannon of an arm, good hands, and my hope is that he becomes like an Andrelton Simmons type player, maybe a little better of a hitter. I want to see more of him at the plate to get a true testament of what he could be, but we need to see it first. You know, he's not been here much. he should be playing third base for the New York Yankees right now. Again, I don't need to be seeing DJ LeMahieu get reps anymore. What does that do for me? I don't need to see Connor Falefa get reps. I never needed to see Donaldson. I don't need to see anybody who has reached their ceiling or is an upcoming free agent getting reps at this point over a prospect. Let me see more of Oswald Peraza. Let him play baseball in these final 40-something games. This way, maybe we have ourselves less questions about third base going forward. Speaking of third base, Andres Chaparro. 24 years old, a right-handed bat, plays third base. He's an unranked prospect, but he's been in AAA all season this year with Scranton, and he's having a good year. 103 games, batting .247, but he's got an .801 OPS, 19 doubles, 20 homers, 71 RBIs, 54 walks, 97 strikeouts. Some really good power. Now, with that average comes a hitless stretch in the first 7 games of the season where, across 30 plate appearances, didn't get a hit. So keep that in mind when you look at the .247. But from what I read about him, he's an exit velo guy. He hits the ball hard. He's got extra base hit power from the right side of the plate, a lot of pull power, and he gets good lift on the ball too. He does strike out a lot, and he's nothing special defensively, but he can play first or third. It's just not particularly good. But I think we might have a guy here with good pop. At worst, he's probably like a 250 hitter. Maybe he can peak out at like an 800 OPS type of guy. But I wouldn't mind seeing him in September. Just not my first choice. Austin Wells, maybe he's the guy we see next year, but who knows? Like, why not? Why not call the kid up and say, hey, look, the season's a wash. Just go out there and play your hardest. We just want to see what you got. He's the number 8 prospect in the Yankees system. He's 24 years old. He's a left fielder. Not a left fielder. He's a left-handed bat. Well, he's a catcher who might end up being a corner outfielder because they might not keep him there long term. He's an offensive-minded catcher. But he's played at all 3 levels this year. Tampa, Somerset, and now he's with AAA Scranton. And with Scranton across 20 games so far, .257, 721 OPS, 8 doubles, no homers. He had 7 RBIs, 10 walks, 20 strikeouts. So he's supposed to be the complete package offensively. Contact, power, plate discipline, great bat speed, raw strength. He drives the ball. He gets good elevation on it. It's got good strike zone recognition, and he can control the zone very well. He uses all fields. He's also got a little bit of speed too. So I like Austin Wells. I'm a big fan of him. My uncle knows him, and I don't know how to throw that in there, but I want to see him. I want to see him next year starting for sure. But again, why not give him some reps in September to see, okay, this is what we got going into next year, a little taste. How about on the mound, Clayton Beeter? Clayton Beeter is the 16th prospect in the Yankee system. He's the number 8 pitching prospect. The Yankees got him from the Joey Gallo deal. He's a 24-year-old, 25 in October, right-handed pitcher. Starting pitcher right now. He might be moved to the bullpen eventually. Promoted earlier this year to AAA. And across 7 games, 6 starts so far, he's 1-3 with a 6.25 ERA. 31 2/3 innings. 32 hits, 37 strikeouts, 16 walks, and a 152 whip. So the numbers look awful. There was a blow-up start in there against the Buffalo Bisons a couple weeks ago. He allowed 11 runs in 3 2/3 innings. But it's not like he's been perfect outside that. He's had some so-so starts, and he's had some good starts in there. It's just been more of a mixed bag. I like him. He's got a high arm slot. I like the delivery. He's got a slider that he started throwing again, and that could become a wipeout pitch. It's got great velo, and it has great 2-plane depth to it. The fastball sits in the mid-90s. It's got some carry to it and a little bit of 2-seam action on it. He scrapped the changeup from what I read about, and he has a curve that sometimes is very good, sometimes not, and probably needs some fine-tuning, but this is a guy I wouldn't mind seeing soon. And then you go to Will Warren, who we've mentioned on the show too. Number 10 prospect in the Yankee system and number 3 pitching prospect in their system. 24-year-old right-handed pitcher, starting pitcher. He's in AAA right now, called up earlier in the year. 13 games in, he's 4-4, a 5.24 ERA, 55 innings, 55 hits, 57 strikeouts, 29 walks, and a 1.53 whip. He too, a few weeks back in that same Buffalo Bison series, he got lit up by them. But unlike Peter, there's been way more consistency around that start from Will Warren. He's actually been pretty good. Better than the ERA says. He's got a deep pitch mix. He's got a slider that's supposed to be a very good pitch. It grades out at a 60 on the 20/80 scale. He's got some more velocity to that slider now and a lot of life to it. And it'd probably be called a sweeper in the big leagues because of the plane it takes. But he's got a 2-seam fastball. That generates a lot of ground balls for him. Sits around 92, 93, sometimes a little higher. That's his primary fastball pitch. He's got a changeup too. It's got decent fade to it, and then he throws an upper 70s curveball. So a lot of pitches to go to, a lot of offerings. He throws strikes. Sometimes he struggles with command, but this is a kid I'd like to see. So again, what I am doing the rest of the year is I'm bringing some of these kids up here. Not all of them I just listed have to be up here, obviously. But I think like Peraza should be a must. That should be your third baseman. Everson Pereira, that should also be a must. That should be your left fielder. And then I'd like to at least, see one more of those guys up here. Get a shot. I would like to see Wells get some catching reps. Let Judge get the surgery. Have him fresh. Have him ready in time for a full camp next spring. Just be smart and stop hanging on to an 82-win team. Because that's the pace they're on right now for. Like, give me the percentage of all sub-85 win teams to make the playoffs. Give me the percentage of sub-85 win teams to make the World Series. And then give me the percentage of sub-85 win teams to win the World Series. I guarantee you those numbers are very, 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 very low. You'll get the occasional exception. And usually that exception is a team who isn't great, but not that bad. But the Yankees are actually that bad. They're a bad baseball team who are 60-58 and in last place. All you're doing is delaying the progression of this baseball team. The longer you refuse to give in. See what these kids have. It's way more interesting. And maybe you find the wins that you're looking for this way. But again, the only time we ever see these guys are if somebody goes down or if it's past the service time date. That's it. Peraza last season, we had to wait until the service time thing was over. Peraza this year only got his opportunities when that fossil, Josh Donaldson, went down with an injury. Pereira this year should have been up months ago, but they want to get that extra year of service time, so we wait. Vasquez and Brito are only back up with the squad right now because Domingo Germán and Nestor Cortez are out for the year. Injuries, service time, being afraid to tank their value so much. What kind of loser mentality is that, by the way? You don't even believe in your own prospects, but they're the same prospects you refuse to trade. Davy Garcia, a perfect example of that. You waited so long and look where he is now. They never do things to progress their actual baseball team. Mind-blowing. So that's what I would do the remainder of 2023. And then as we head to the winter, why not keep going with it, right? I have an off-season plan. You do all of that. You go into an off-season with less questions. And the plan for me this off-season is to retool this damn roster while also remaining competitive enough to get back into it in 2024. Because you've still got Judge and you've still got Cole locked up here in their primes. So you need to win. That's your window. And I think what we've seen from these guys Some of these guys look like keepers. Like, I think you could start to piece together your bench a little bit. I like what I've seen from IKF, from Bowers, from McKinney. Royfed's done a nice job behind the dish. I wouldn't hate giving Kiner Falefa a small extension to come back as a backup third baseman. That would be fine with me. Contact bat seems to get big hits in those situational spots where nobody else can. I would like to bring Jake Bowers back here as a lefty platoon man off the bench. I think he's got good enough pop from the left side. Perfect for Yankee Stadium. Home run power, doubles power. He sees the plate well, and he's going to draw his walks. Maybe give you 15 homers, 50, 60 RBIs off the bench. Right? I'm kind of over Ben Royfed. As a backup, I'd say yeah. But you do have two lefties if you end up promoting Wells and keeping Royfed around. So I think what I would do next year is I'm ditching Higashioka. I am having Trevino back, but only as a backup to Austin Wells. That's what I think I would do. And then maybe bring Billy McKinney back. I mean, I wouldn't hate that. He's also been pretty fine. The bench has actually not been a problem for the Yankees this year. They've all hit. They've done their jobs. Filling out the black holes in the starting lineup is going to be interesting. Because I'm letting a lot of these guys go. Donaldson, I am paying his $6 million vesting option, kicking him to the curb, whatever. He's old, he's washed, he's injury prone. Severino, he can have fun in Thailand or whatever third-tier team he'll be playing for overseas. I'm done. He's injury prone, he's washed, no confidence left in his soul. It never worked, unfortunate. Higashioka can go too. He's been here in the system for 15 years, dude. I'm sorry, it's time for new blood at that spot. There's no reason he should be the longest tenured Yankee. He's a below-average catcher, no arm. He can't hit other than the occasional hot streak at the end of every year, like we saw last year and we're seeing right now. I'm trying my very hardest to get DJ LeMahieu off this team, seeing if anybody wants him as an option off the bench. And honestly, I don't care if the return is a coupon to the Dollar Tree. I'm doing it. And for my master plan, I am letting Bader walk. Bader's gone. I'm kind of over him. I'm sorry. I love the kid. I love the defense. I love the personality he's got. I love the clutch hits, the playoffs last year. I'll never forget. But the dude can't stay healthy, and he doesn't hit enough for me. And with that open spot in center field, I've got Dominguez taking over left field next season. And I'm going to try and acquire Cody Bellinger to play center field for me in free agency. This way, we finally have that outfield that we've lacked for 2 years. We've lacked an outfielder. But we finally have that young, potent lefty slugger for the short porch. By the way, Bellinger's also batting like .330. And maybe Dominguez is ready. Maybe, if he spends time in AAA at the beginning of next season as well, Pereira can be that placeholder. Then maybe you move Pereira for something in return. That's the master plan. I would like it for eventually to be the majority of 2024, Dominguez, Bellinger, Judge, left to right. So, I'm also, if we're getting really unrealistic, I'm trying my very hardest to move Giancarlo Stanton. I appreciate Stanton. I like the postseasons he's given us, but it's over. This way we can clear up payroll and have room for Shohei Ohtani. Because, the billion-dollar Yankees have to do things like that nowadays as if we legitimately need a budget. But yeah, I'm trying to get Ohtani. That's Ohtani. That's the number one priority, obviously. But I'm just trying to be realistic because we know how the Yankees operate now. Third base, maybe you could say Peraza, but if you don't want too many rookies out there since you're still trying to contend, I don't hate the idea of Heimer Candelario. That would probably be my preference, or maybe a Matt Chapman, but I would probably say Candelario since he's a switch bat. Just letting Kiner Falefa play everyday third base wouldn't be something I'm totally against either. I wouldn't hate that. It's just not my first option. There are a ton of things they can do. 1 second. There are a ton of things they can do, but I guess the question is, will they do it? And again, I'll keep repeating this until I'm dead in the face. This is why it's critical to play your prospects ahead of time, so you don't go into every season with questions at certain positions. Oh, and I would also not hate giving a small contract to Frankie Montas to bring him back, because listen, he's kind of been lost in all this mess and stayed quiet. Like, it's not like with Montas, like he's been egregious. It's just been mostly injuries. I mean, he wasn't good, but he made 6 starts, and he was hurt while pitching with the shoulder issue. Like, I'm willing to give him another shot. But yeah, all in all, there you go. I've mastered it. And I have just retooled the Yankees for you. At catcher, Austin Wells, lefty. At first base, Anthony Rizzo, lefty. At second base, Gleyber Torres, righty. At shortstop, Anthony Volpe, righty. At third base, Heimer Candelario, switch. In center field, Cody Bellinger, left. In right field, Aaron Judge, right-hander. Left field, Jason Dominguez, switch hitter. And then your DH is Shohei Ohtani, left-hander. Your bench, IKF, a righty. Bowers, lefty. Trevino, righty. McKinney, lefty. So there you go. There you go. You got 5 new names. You got youth, some experience, and a good balance of lefty-righty. You got 6 lefties, 2 switch, and I think 5 righties. There you go. There's your World Series. That's a much better looking team right there. And then if we're talking future, we're going off the rails this pod. I told you. You got some prospects to keep an eye on right now. Spencer Jones. He has jumped Jason Dominguez recently as the number 1 prospect in the Yankee system. Oh, hold on here. Camera just cut out on us. Try and fix this. Man, I need a fucking new camera. That shit way too often does that. All right. 1 second. I'm just going to keep talking while I try to fix this. See if that did anything. No, this is fucked up. Oh, God. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to do audio only for the rest of the show, which won't be long. Spencer Jones just recently passed Jason Dominguez as the number 1 prospect in the Yankee system. He was also ranked, I think he's 78th in the MLB pipeline. He's 22 years old. He's left-handed hitting outfielder, one of the Yankees draft picks of recent years. He rates out as average everywhere but power, where he's 55. He's a 6'6", 225-pounder at the moment. He's already being compared to Judge. They call him a lefty Judge right now. He's got 52 RBIs in 92 games with the Renegades this year. That's in high A. He's got bat speed, strength, and he makes a lot of hard contact. Some flaws do concern me about this kid. He's got a long swing that leads to a lot of strikeouts. I've heard he uses the opposite field a little too much. Interesting. I guess because he's going to be inside Yankee Stadium as a lefty. And he struggles with higher velocity pitches, especially on the inner half of the plate. So I wonder how that's going to translate into the big leagues. But again, it's kind of similar to when Judge first cracked the system. And I don't care about prospect hugging. He's raw. So if he develops enough to just start hitting when he gets promoted to AA and AAA, hopefully that raises his value even more and we can get something good in return. Jason Dominguez is a guy I really want to see stick around. But again, I wouldn't mind moving him. But he's the international prospect, obviously. He's the number 2 prospect on the Yankees now. And he's 79th in MLB pipeline in their top 100 list. He's 20 years old. He's a switch hitter, an outfielder, batting .240 with Double-A this year, .743 OPS, 36 stolen bases in 103 games. He had a very slow start to the season. He did not hit in April. He did not hit in May. He did not hit much of June. But he has begun to hit in July. And so far he's hitting in August as well. I worded that very odd. He hit well in July, and he's so far hitting in August. He's batting .309 in his last 36 games. That's since July 1st. So he just came off of a 5-game multi-hit game streak, but he is 0 in his last 3 games. So still some inconsistencies down there, but I think giving him the rest of the year there, hopefully calling him up to AAA sometime in September, and then giving him some more time at the beginning of next season. Hopefully that would be good for him, and he can make his debut next year early on. Graded out as 55 power, 55 run, 55 arm. That is his best. Those are his best assets on the 2080. And obviously the comparisons are very high, as you've heard. You've heard the Mantle, Trout comparisons. You've heard Bo Jackson. Like, I'm trying to temper my expectations. I heard a very good comparison earlier in the year that I liked. Somebody compared him to Melky Cabrera. You know, smaller guy, big muscles, same frame, switch hitting outfielder with pop, corner outfielder. Like, I like that comparison. Strong arm. He's got a great bat speed, high exit velocity guy. He's more effective from the left side of the plate, I'm hearing. But he controls the zone very well. He drives the ball in the air a lot. He steals a ton of bases. And from what they say on MLB in his scouting report, scouts think he's got potential to be a .270 hitter, 30 home run, 30 stolen base type of bat, which is absolutely elite. And it's like a level below MVP candidate type. So that's very good. Yeah, so he's an option to eventually give a shot at next year. Trey Sweeney, number 9 prospect in the Yankees system. He's a lefty bat, shortstop, 23 years old. 33 extra base hits, 49 RBIs, 59 walks in 91 games this year. That's very good with Double-A. Good athleticism, a solid arm. Not a ton of speed, but enough speed to range. He's got a big leg kick at the plate. Some good hand-eye coordination, bat speed, and some strength. He barrels a lot of balls, makes hard contact, and they say he's got an ability to hit for both average and power. But he does have a hitch in his swing. I didn't love hearing that when I reading that. But again, he's a shortstop, so he's never played any other position in pro ball. So to me, this is just like trade bait if he keeps hitting down there. Roderick Arias, another international prospect. He's also a shortstop, so that's another guy who could be trade bait in the future for something big. Drew Thorpe. I want to talk about Drew Thorpe, who's the number 5 prospect on the Yankees. He's the number 2 pitching prospect in the system. Recently got promoted to Double-A, and he threw 8 shutout, 2 hitter, no walks, 9 strikeouts versus the Mets Double-A farm team. Looked really good. So maybe he finishes out the year in Double-A, spends some time in Triple-A early next year, and we'll see him then. Maybe in the middle of the summer. 22 years old, a right-handed starting pitcher. But this is his first year with the system. He went to college and was signed in the second round of the draft. Had a 10-2 record with a .281 ERA in 109 innings at Hudson Valley. And in his Double-A debut the other day, he went, like we said, 8 innings, no runs. The changeup seems to be his pitch. It grades out at a 65 on the scale, so it's a plus pitch with good fade and a low 80s velocity to it. Slider's got a lot of depth to it, and his fastball, while not very hard, pretty successful because he commands it well and he mixes up his pitches around it. So all of these guys are just some ideas for the future, trade assets and maybe potential parts to the team eventually. We'll see, but that's again, we kind of got off the rails there. I just wanted to talk about what I do the rest of this year and heading into the offseason as well. But back on track to the day-to-day. Let's real briefly tip our caps to some certain guys, and that'll be that. Let me see first if I can fix my camera. No. Okay, the camera's completely fucked. Nice. All right, so we'll just finish this out with audio only. We're not doing graphics. We're not going to do sound bites. Anthony Volpe. Tipping my cap to him this series. He had an 11-13 OPS in these 3 games. 2 homers, 5 RBIs. I liked what I saw. I like the swing a lot. Excuse me. Let me take a sip. Damn. Yeah, I like this swing a lot. He got some very hittable pitches in this series, especially those fastballs by Luzardo, but the swing did look nice. The stride was straight. He wasn't pulling off toward third base. He was driving pitches that he needed to drive, and his home run swings, especially the one today, were not like they weren't sell out, pull it like it's crazy type home runs. And that's the way he's going to have to hit. I want Anthony Volpe running into home runs. I don't want him hunting home runs. I want line drive type swings. I want him bringing his hands in on the ball, spitting on the off speed, and doing work on those heaters. Like today, first pitch, he spits on the slider, chases it in the same spot second pitch, but then he gets the fastball, low and inside, pulls his hands in, jumps on it, bang. I think I heard somewhere today that he has a 115 adjusted OPS since making that tweak in his batting stance against the Mets that one series back. So he's looked a lot better, with still some that over stretch in between, but he has looked much better since then. And I'm sure Sean Casey's had a lot to do with it. But yeah, it's our 6th time tipping our cap to Volpe this season, so. Seems like he's on pace to be a 2020 guy, and I think Volpe's going to be a nice player. I'm not sure he's going to be the superstar that he was being hyped up to be, but I think he'll be borderline all-star. I think he could be a 25-25 guy, stolen base home runs, and I think maybe eventually sometime down the line be a 270s hitter. I think he'll be a nice player. Gerrit Cole. I'm tipping my cap to Gerrit Cole. 6 innings. 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, 99 pitches, and unfortunately the no decision. He was the only true starting pitcher of this series. He had 2 openers, but he was fine. He wasn't as sharp as today, but he was fine. It felt like he was cutter heavy again, which was good. I like that pitch for him a lot. I heard about this, that he yelled at Ben Rorfed apparently. I heard that was pretty funny, but I think I was probably watching the FIBA Showcase game by then. I was flipping between those 2 channels. But yeah, Cole gets tipping my cap to Cole. That's the 14th time we're tipping our caps to him this season. Leads the Yankees by a lot. And then, last but not least, in the bullpen, I'm handing out an award and tipping our cap to Jhony Brito. 5 innings, 1 run in the middle game there out of relief. I like him, man. He's interesting. Fastball sits at 96-98. He throws a great changeup with some fade to it. Batters are hitting 207 on that pitch. Gets a ton of whiffs on that curveball. It looked very good in this series. Batters have a 30% K rate this season off of Jhony Brito's curve. So knows when to go to it. Always keeps it off the plate. It's been a good pitch for him. But yeah, he's interesting because you go on his Baseball Savant page. They don't like him on there. Like, all the analytics are blue. Everything except his fastball velocity is blue, which is odd. Like, his expected batting average is blue. His average exit velo is blue. Strikeout percentage, walk percentage, chase rate's blue. The spin rate on his curve and fastball, they're blue. Expected slugging, hard hit percentage, his extension is blue. Like, it's so weird. I try to embrace analytics to a degree today, but I don't fully buy into it all because of things like this. I don't know. I find that a little weird because I feel like he's a better pitcher than they give him credit. And at the end of the day, I do care about results, unlike super analytic freak. But yeah, that's it, man. We're gonna wrap it up there. Get to our final break. Wrap it up with our question of the day, and that'll be that. Let's go. All right, well, I guess we're not going to break. I clicked the wrong slide. We'll just wrap it up here. Late in the episode anyway. Episode 548. Our trivia question. Chairman of the board was the nickname of which former Yankee? Chairman of the board was the nickname of which former Yankee? Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. And guys, that's it. I appreciate you stopping by. I totally spelled nickname wrong there in the graphic on the screen. That is definitely not the way to spell it. But thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Again, going to try to do some other topics here on the show like we did today, and not exactly the day-to-day stuff, because at this point in the season, it's a wash. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Episode 548. I'm your host, RJ. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees, and go Knicks!